I show 6:06 PM. We'll convene the meeting for Public Works budget process. On my agenda, as I take a look at it here. Call to order. We have all of our supervisors present that I can see. We have youth and governance here, one representative. The next item on our agenda would be citizens' comments. If there are any citizens' comments, please make your name and address known. You have 5 minutes to speak. Citizens' comments once. Citizens' comments twice. Seeing none, citizens' comments are closed. Chair and supervisors' comments. I have no great details other than to say, if there are questions or comments during this budget hearing, please, it should go through the chair, ask to be recognized, just the basic formalities. Other than that, supervisors' comments, anything committee members would like to say at this point.
Let's get this show on the road.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
I second
Is that on? Before we jump into it, do we have any communications that need to be spoken of? Seeing none, we'll move on to the review and approve the 2026 proposed budget and CIP projects. I do have a comment before we get too far along. And that is, when I looked at this particular agenda and the way it's set up, we look at the presentation, extension, planning and development, facilities, golf, parks, highways. And when I take a look at highways, it's a little bit interesting because we're doing some shuffling there with FTEs and so forth. And it doesn't have a direct bearing, but it has a somewhat of an indirect bearing on these other departments in terms of the structure and the way the management is related. So I'd like to just begin, not the entire highways, but just with the highway FTEs, go through that, and then we'll proceed back to University of Wisconsin Extension. So if you're turning your budget books to the page 99, budget book, page 99. And we have Public Works Highways. Who's ever feeling comfortable to do this, whether it's you, Shelley, or you want to do it, Nick, either way. But just run us through how we are doing some of the Director of Highways going from 1.0 FTEs 2025 to now 0 in 2026. And we have Director of Highways / Assistant Director PPWDS going from 0 to 1. So just kind of walk us through what's going on there. And Clara, if you want to have input for that, that's fine as well.
It's a reclassification of the highway commissioner. He's also going to be the director of highways and now the assistant director of public works. It's more of a succession planning. So that's what that changes.
So just to put a face upon this particular position, Director of Highways, Assistant Director of DWDS, is that for Mr. Bolt? Is that going to be your position?
Yes, it is.
So you're actually assuming additional responsibilities in this upcoming budgetary cycle, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So when I take a look at my budget book, so we're moving from an E13 to an E14, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And just kind of clue us in, what is the monetary effect upon that? Just,
So if you go to page 29 in your budget book,
Yeah.
it'll show the monetary value. It's a change of about 7,500.
but at the same time, just so I can get my mind around this, we are going to not have the position of Director of Highways being filled, is that correct?
Correct. He's maintaining still the commissioner's highway job.
So basically, that is how the department loses one FTE from 2025 to 2026, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So we're losing that FTE per se, but
Right.
it's being replaced. Commissioner and the director, yes, that's a swap,
Okay.
but they're losing a full FTE that's moving to finance.
Repeat that last part again.
So they're losing an administrative assistant. It's being moved to finance because
Okay,
of the
all right.
range of their duties. It's more wide range than just highway.
Well, that at least sets the stage for what we have to do for the rest of the upcoming hearings, going through departments and so forth. So good. I wanted to just touch upon that.
Okay.
Very well. Let us go back to our original proposition, which is University of Wisconsin Extension, their budget, and let's proceed with that. Go ahead.
All right, so I have page one up here on the screen. It's kind of the high overview of DPW as a whole. How we compared from last year to this year. We are a levy reduction for the second year in a row. So I guess we could just vote and pass now and be good. The way we're able to do this, we are constantly looking at ways to allocate salaries. So that is kind of where the FTE change in highway comes. The administrative assistants moving from highway to finance, and then we disperse that hit kind of set to the 4 divisions. So that includes golf, which is not levy. So we kind of take the full-time FTE, disperse it, and then its disbursement hits golf, which is from their revenue. So it's a levy decrease. And then also this year, we have capitalized the facilities project manager. So that helped with the levy decrease as well. Kind of go down, it shows how we compare to the county in a whole. So go operating expenses, we kind of maintain our roughly 10% of operating expenses. Levy, go around that 8.3 or the 10%. And then bonding as a DPW whole, we're about 85, almost 86% of all bonding projects are through our department. Previously, we always had that bottom right kind of small box as ARPA funds and described it, but since those are over, we switched over to Parkland since that's been a topic of interest to kind of show how we use it and what we do with it. And then that bottom is the overview of FTEs. 0.25 facilities, the custodian that will be filled in the fourth quarter of 26, and that will become a full-time FTE in 27. And then, as we just discussed, the repurposing and reclassifying of some of the highways. I'm going to go to the next page. This is kind of a breakdown of the expenses by category and how we relate or comparison to last year. One thing I do want to point out in that 26 proposed, you'll see in the top half, so right around here-ish, we are showing reserves or carryover. We've been told for the last 2 years that 26 is going to be a lean budget, so we've kind of strategically planned to have carryover so that we were able to do that. It's not a sustainable method. It's more of a Band-Aid. Once we run out of carryover, we're gonna hit levy. So for this budget, we're able to make it work with that carryover. But again, it's just a Band-Aid approach. Kind of always harped that with highway income, primarily GTA funds. Next year will be the last year that we carry that Highway S project. So once that falls off,
Could you explain what GTA
so it's
funds are?
General Transportation System aids. It's comprised of our expenses, some of sheriff expenses, and then how it relates to how we fit with the state. It's the state aid that helps fund roughly $5 million of our 11 million. So with that, it's a 6-year average of your expenses, and Highway S will fall off after next year, which is a very large project. Any questions on this page?
Any members have questions, comments?
We'll go through UW Extension and P&D. Those both had their board last week, but they kind of fall under our umbrella, so we'll just kind of touch base on them. UW Extension, you kind of pull off page 4 next to it, you'll see what their primary expense is, given that agreement for the educators. This will be the first year where we're fully staffed going into it. So we only pay for the positions that we have. So if that position becomes empty, we no longer pay that salary. Then go to page 5, kind of their, another sub-project or subcategory for them is their programs. Right now, we have about 23 programs that the UW Extension is running. And then there's also the after-school program, which is kind of dormant since COVID, but we're being told that they're starting that up again next year. So this account will start being used. Both these are levy neutral. They are dollars in, dollar out programs. It's just services they offer. You sign up for the fee. They use that fee to run class. Any questions with the UW extensions?
Questions about the extension at this point? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
Which one?
Yeah, I'll do it separately. Yeah.
Motion to approve UWX or UW extension, budget as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, passes. Youth and governance,
Aye.
thank you.
All right.
We're now on to planning and development.
We have planning and development. This is kind of their overview page. You did see on the front page, they are adding an FTE. It is an administrative assistant that was in finance. Just logistically, it makes sense. She's in their office. Right now, Chris and I oversee her, but we're not in their office. We don't know what their needs are. So if she asks for time off, we have to go to Andy anyway. So it just logistically makes sense that she's there. Otherwise, there's not many changes. You see a kind of a big change with the inspection fee revenue. We had our first full year really of data so that we were able to kind of pinpoint that number a little more. Before it was, okay, going into 25, this is a new program. What do we think it's going to be? Going into 25, then we had half a year's worth of data. So this time we have a full year's worth of data and we know what the revenue roughly will be.
Is that the reason why it's considerably higher?
Yes, it's a lot more than we envisioned when we first started. So that's why it's such a big change. Kind of highlight overview, salaries decreased based on employee retirements and new hires, medical insurance changes based on personal selection and county allocations. Interdepartmental changes increased due to there's a full-time GIS position that's split up among the 5 divisions. If you kind of look at it, it somewhat looks like it goes down, but that's because from interdepartmental was the admin assistant, which is now salaried. So it's a wash in that essence. And then the fixed is decreasing because we have half a year of that sanitary vehicle, which actually we found out we got in an accident in July. And we are out of that lease. It's paid off. So we will buy the new vehicle on 1/1, which is in the CIP. So we're out of the lease. We don't have that fixed fee for next year. We are going for, they did mention in the P&D board about a fee review. So we're going to RFP for the building inspection. So we're just going to do one resolution for the RFP, fee review, and contract renewal. So that'll all just kind of come to finance at once instead of doing it in parts.
For this is for what?
For the building inspections.
Okay.
So
How does that differ from the budget or the Village of Salem Lakes contract? Because I don't believe we see those contracts, but it would be nice to be able to have a copy to peruse it.
Yeah,
Do we?
yeah. It has to be done.
Okay.
There would be a new one this year. We're still in negotiations. So that's what Nick is mentioning. Once we have that kind of finalized, we have the RFP out for building inspection services for 2026. We will then do the fee comparison and fee evaluation, and that as one clump will come to finance with their fees associated to whether or not Salem Lakes comes on board again and or who our new building inspection services are.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So here's their CIP, that vehicle that I mentioned, and then the Pike River restoration as well. And then we also kind of have tag along the miscellaneous kind of program they oversee. Kind of not look at bottom three, those are more parks and facilities type, but they're just our miscellaneous departments, so they're on here. But the top three are all, or top four are all kind of overseen by that P and D. Except for the top one, which is the Board of Adjustments, they're all levy neutral, which is money in, money out. There's been no questions on that. That kind of concludes P and D.
Can we go back to page 6 for a second?
Sure.
Line item 519990, departmental charges, full year for GIS position. Is that position currently filled or is that vacant?
It is vacant currently.
Okay, so we're looking for person to occupy that position, is that correct?
Yes.
That's posted currently, Clara?
That is correct. Thought I didn't see it. So yes.
Very well, thank you, that's my question. Anything further for this particular item? For planning and development? One further thing, let's just take a look at page 149 here. Again, I want to try to get my mind around this. Let's see if I can do it. This is in the budget books. It's a flow chart, Ocean County Division Planning and Development. So taking a look at the blue boxes, Director, Department of Public Works, Development Services.
146.
149. Is that Ms. Billingsley? Is that what we're looking at here?
Yeah. The one on the upper left?
Correct.
Yeah.
Then we take a look at, to the right, the next blue box, Director, Division of Highway / Assistant Director, DPWDS. Is that Mr. Bolt?
Yes.
That would be yes.
Then down below the green box, we have Director of Planning and Development. Is that Mr. Bueller?
Yes.
Yep.
So I see two green boxes here. Is that really Mr. Bueller in two places on the flow chart? Is that how it works?
Just as it relates to the sanitation department of planning
I
and
see.
development,
Okay,
that's the only component of planning and development Greg will oversee.
so is that a new responsibility for you, Greg, or is that one you had previously?
Right now, it is housed in the county exec office due to a conflict of interest for myself.
Okay.
So this will then go to Greg instead of
Okay.
going to.
That is a new,
County
it's a new flow chart, it's a new responsibility thing for 2026.
Correct.
Okay, good. That's why for the committee's benefit, I want to sort out the way it was going, with Department of Highways first, so we can understand how this worked in relation to this. FYI, I believe we have a motion on the floor by Supervisor Decker to approve this part of the budget. We have a second. Supervisor Meadows makes a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, this time, Youth and Governance, you can vote first.
Aye.
Rest of the committee, aye or nay? Aye?
Aye.
Any nay? Passes unanimously. Thank you. We're on to facilities next.
All right, we are on facilities. Facilities is going to be left to kind of have side by side with page 10. Budget book's a bit confusing because it's broken down into 3 campuses. So we kind of make this cheat sheet that has all 3 right next to each other. So it's a little easier to read. Kind of the overview again. We're adding that 0.25 FTE this year, custodian position. salaries kind of decreased on the real allocation of the project engineer, which I touched on in the beginning. Temporary salaries are increasing just based on department needs, covering more square footage. We kind of use those temp custodians a lot more. Medical insurance decreased based on personal selection / county allocations. Their interdepartmental change charges is going to increase based on that GIS position and also the reclassification of that administrative assistant from highway. They also get some of the allocations because it's split between more divisions. Utilities is going to increase just based on historical data, and we're going to have a bit of a couple month overlap between the new job center and the old job center. So we're going to have both those utilities running for a few month period there. So we have raised that to kind of cancel that. Machinery and equipment line increased as well, just based on departmental needs. And then we added a new line this year, which is the personal protective equipment. Some divisions had it, some divisions didn't. We just kind of want to make DPW universal. All of them have it. It's a new line. We usually just kind of had it in building maintenance, but we felt it was just buried in there, and this is just a better allocation, cleaner accounting for us. And some of the revenues, you see a slight increase on the jail / traffic fine income just based on previous actuals. We see a little decrease in the parking structure revenue and a small decrease in safety building rental, which is paid through the city and joint services. It's based off percentage of operating and capital that's happening at the PSB, and this year's kind of a lower capital at PSB, so that percentage is a little lower. And then we also added a new revenue line, which is sale of county property. We get better value auctioning than trading in, so we've kind of gone to auctioning off when we replace things. It's just more bang for your buck on returns.
So when you say auctioning of county property, it's this equipment type things you're talking about?
Yeah, it'll be bigger equipment usually, and then sometimes smaller stuff like chainsaws or whatever. Just any equipment we're getting rid of, kind of throw it out to auction off, see. Just you get a better return than any trade-in values at this time.
Supervisor Decker.
The increased 0.25 FTE for custodian, is that for the new health building?
It will coincide with us moving into the health services, but it be a floater. It's primarily for PSP, I believe.
We have total for KCDC, Civic Center use, and then human services if needed. So we're anticipating the needed human services because of the square footage increase. We're not sure yet, but we know we need one at KCDC and another float at the Civic Center.
So next year, are we gonna need more for human services building, or, next budget?
I don't foresee requesting one in the next year's budget. I think it's a little too soon. We got to see how that building kind of plays out.
Okay,
It would be the completion, the other 75 of this person.
Correct.
So next year it would be a full.
okay, so it is per quarter of the year.
This is only for the quarter of this year.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions on this part of the budget?
So that's kind of the operating.
Yes.
Rotate this. This is the capital. I'll kind of touch on what changed from the CIP meeting we had. So we have the roof replacement for KCDC. See it as 1,025,000. At the CIP meeting, it was 2 million. That is because we had several other projects that had kind of funds available, so we're going to repurpose them and roll them over to kind of cover that up to that 2 million. So it lowers our bonding amount because we kind of had the excess money from other projects. And then the other one that changed is the West End Tower. That was 1.26. You'll see 1.21 here. We had, a little bit of rollover from the radio redundancy project that we'll be applying to cover up that 50,000. So that's the only real changes from the CIP meeting we had in September.
So we talked about the West End Tower. Where is that physically located?
So I believe currently they're looking at multiple locations. Right now, they're looking at KCVMP, but I don't think anything is concrete yet.
No, this will take the construction and design to 2026. So we will be looking to set that exactly where we have the best frequency input. We do believe that to be Kenosha County Veterans Memorial Park at this time, but that this design will completely look at that and set that location set.
So this would be in addition to what we have at Silver Lake then?
Yes, it would be an extension of,
Far enough west
Correct.
to achieve our goals, is that correct?
correct,
So this would be a new enterprise project.
correct.
As far as, KCDC, the roof replacement, is that going to be, looks like it's spread out over 2 years, 26 to 27. Is that going to be the entire roofing area at KCDC?
Yes, yeah, that'll, cover engineering, design, first year. It'll be phased out. We don't know exactly how we're gonna phase it. There's many different roof heights. It's gonna be easy to phase, but both, phases will be completed.
So assuming that this budget passes as presented here for that particular part of the roofing, would you anticipate having the bid documents ready at the end of this year and being proposed for bid?
Our consultant is working on the documents, so there is a chance that they'll be ready to go by the first.
Those are my questions. Supervisor Franco, you have a question?
I was just, did I mishear you? Did you say that some of these capital projects for the upcoming year are going to be paid for by carryover?
Yes, there's some excess funds from previous projects that we're gonna roll over for the roof replacement.
Did you say bonds?
It would be bonded funds that were excess
Oh, okay.
in some projects.
Because I noticed there was nothing for carryover reserves here, so.
Right, so it's already bonded money from other projects.
Okay, so it's carried over bond.
Right.
Now, got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Further questions on the CIP here? Supervisor Decker, anything?
Nope, thank you.
We'll take a look at the ceremonial court. We have 2 line items here. We have facilities 11 and facilities 12. They're both in 2026. When I take a look at this, does that mean that the expenditures will be accounted for and done with in budgetary 2026?
So for these two, yes, I believe there's multiple phases. You can see there's atrium. Yeah, the courthouse atrium, which is kind of down here at 2028,
Which line is that?
17. So these two phases will be done and expended next year, and then we'll move on to the other phases of the project that were approved.
Okay. Very well. Anything further on this portion of CIP before we move on? Supervisor Decker?
So as long as we're talking about the courthouse remodel, facilities line 27, there's nothing in there for the next 5 years, but it has $1 million in there. That's what's anticipated, but we haven't approved it yet. Is that correct?
It's just a project that we know we need to do. We just want to put it on your guys' radar that it's gonna need to be done, for balancing purposes, for what the constraints are for bonding. We can fit it in the future years because we're not sure when or how yet.
Okay, thank you.
And then perhaps I was not paying attention, but at the top line of facilities 1, ballistic security partitions? Give us the background of that.
It's security for the courthouse. They're mobile panels, I believe, that they can move around within the courthouse for security if there's any bigger events.
It obscures the vision from straight through into the back walkway. So my understanding is if needed, they would put these secure barricades up so that it obscures any passage of people behind the screen.
So
For
this should,
people that are coming into security, then after security.
so this should be external to the building or internal?
Internal
Internal.
in the lobby area.
Interesting. Okay. I guess I'd have to get a diagram or schematic to see what it's about.
They're up, take it
Okay,
on
sure.
page.
Thank you. CIP 20,
What page is it?
CIP 24. And Matt can add some more detail if need be.
Supervisor, these will be placed at the entrance of the courthouse in the lobby. It's to prevent straight line entry into the building, but provide kind of a angle.
You have to go through the maze.
Correct. So the deputies will be able to see through, and will kind of give that holistic partition between.
Okay. Okay. If there are no further questions on the CIP portion, carry on, Nick.
Right, so look at the next page. It is kind of, a overview of our infrastructure summary list on what we're, from all the studies we know, we always say we have a study for it. This is kind of a breakdown of all the studies and what we've gotten back on when things need to be placed. So we kind of do have a master plan that we work off of. I just wanted to kind of convey that information to you guys, that we don't just randomly pick roofs or anything to replace. We do have studies and a master plan that we're kind of sticking to.
That's good. So this is something we can look forward to achieving in the future as the assets we have time out and have to be replaced.
Right, everything goes according to plan. Sometimes something just catastrophically fails that we weren't expecting, but
So really, this is something that has genesis with the roof replacements. We actually did a roof inventory. We went through, looked at all the county buildings, said, okay, they're in good, fair, poor shape. You know, do the same thing with roads. You look at, are they in good, fair, poor shape? You plan accordingly. So this is good. This is forward thinking. This is the idea that we should have our minds around collectively of what we'll need to replace in the future. So more of an FYI, but thank you for that.
yep. The next is the reference CIP. for Facilities. One that changed from the CIP meeting, the Facility Safety Building 3, DRAC replacement. It was in 2027. We moved that up and split it. It just worked that way for balancing, and because it's two different rooms, we're able to split that project up. So it worked out kind of perfect in that regard. And then the capital on the bottom, capital project 1 and capital project 2 both changed. The energy efficient projects, it was 50,000, and we're showing 0. We just had a few projects come in lower than we expected, and that fund balance is where we feel comfortable that we don't need to add anything this year for it. And then the major equipment replacement projects, you guys may remember it as the HVAC replacement, kind of renamed it because we had elevators that went out, so we just kind of named it the major equipment replacement. We showed 75,000 in it in September. We changed that to 50 because some of the elevator repairs came in cheaper than we thought. So that fund balance is at a good spot where we thought just 50 would suffice. No question.
What's the blue?
The blue is the facilities project engineer. Which we
Took them off the
we
levy.
took them off the levy and moved them to capital, and then we'll kind of disperse that into projects that he works on,
For reimbursement.
right, for capitalization.
Yep.
Yep. Great, then this is kind of a breakdown of what projects we've done with that energy efficiency. I know last year was asked, or the year before, to get a list together, and now we just keep it updated, include it kind of every time.
So for these energy efficiency projects, in the past, we had some type of partnership with the local utility, and they had some type of program, FOE, focused energy. Is that
Right.
still a thing, or is that not a thing, or what's the story with it?
Yeah, so it's still a thing we do. We just got a report as of 10/15. So we started this in 2017, and we received roughly about $106,000 in reimbursement back from joining this. And they say annually, we're estimated saving about $167,000 a year on our utilities, switching to these lights and all the other energy efficient things that we've done.
And that's currently.
And that's current, as of 10/15, so last week. And that's kind of wrapped up facilities.
Questions on utilities, comments? Motion approved, Supervisor Decker, second. Supervisor Gama. Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. Youth and Governance first.
Okay.
Committee members, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Passes. Thank you for your approval. We move next on to
All right, so then we're on parks.
Parks.
So let's see a slight increase based in salaries just based on employee annual raises. Seasonal salaries we lowered, but that is because, as you saw on that first page, we had a 30,000 carryover that we're planning for parks. 20,000 of that is for the seasonal temporary employees. Retirement decrease just due to a seasonal allocation based on the actuals. This is our first year, I believe, in that FICA replacement. So we're going to see actual numbers and adjust accordingly. The interdepartmental charges increased based on that GIS position and the allocation of the administrative assistant reclassing. Other operating supplies has increased just based on the historical numbers we're seeing. Building maintenance supplies has decreased because we planned a 10,000 carryover. So that helps offset some of those needs. And then the fixed increase in building insurance will be a larger decrease in the liability insurance. So it's a little bit. And then revenues were pretty much overall neutral. We added, again, for this department, that sale county property revenue line, just based on it's better to go to auction than to trade in.
So for the parks revenue, I'm assuming this is revenue outside of levy dollars. Is that how it's designated?
Correct. So the outside levy dollar revenues are remaining all neutral. That is pretty much an overview of operating for parks. And go to page 16, it is their CIP. And three differences from the CIP meeting in September. The first being Parks 5. We showed 50,000 at that meeting. It is 125 based on the survey we got back. The building that was most dire was much bigger. We thought we were just going to be doing it for the pavilions. This is actually Brighton-Dale maintenance / office building that needed to be repaired. It's bigger than what we planned. So that's why it increased. Also, you see Park 6, the Kemper Shoreline Reserves Parkland. You knew this was a big project that wanted to get the ball rolling. Instead of pushing off other projects, we're just going to pay pay that out of the parkland reserve. And Parks 8, the KTBMP, Memorial Sheltered Reserves. In September, we showed 163,500 as revenue or as parkland reserves and a little bit of levy. We're just going to pay the full amount out of parkland. Those are the only changes from September.
What do the parking improvements at Petrifying Springs consist of?
Parking lot improvements. It will be expansion by the beer garden and area.
I can speak on that. So it's going to be more of a parkway widening to allow for angled parking near the beer garden. The least invasive way we could, just through research through similar beer gardens who had the same sort of issues that we're having. So it's less invasive to add more spots without adding a parking lot to an already really popular green space. So we'll be adding more parking along the parkway, widening it, pushing the curb and gutter back before the bridge at the beer garden and a little bit right after the bridge.
On the same side as the beer garden or the opposite side?
Both.
Both.
Right.
It will be interesting to see the footprint of that. I'd like to do the committee and get a visual before any ground is broken on that.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Anything else, Nick, on the
Nope,
CIP here?
that's the only changes from September, so everything else is covered there. And no question there, or the next page, it's kind of a high level overview of what we use this, or what we've used this parkland fund for, projects that it kind of has funded and what we, or where we get the money from. So if you look, breaks down the funding sources, how much we've got from them, and then what we've used those funds on. And then the bottom, what we are planning to use those funds on next year.
So on these funding sources, the last bullet point is over 350,000 from the remnant parcels on County Highway F. Is that all done now? They're all signed, sealed?
We are
orders?
waiting on one parcel still.
One still left.
It involves the DNR, so it's been a bit of a red tape issue.
So the buyer is eager to complete it, but the state has some type of skin in the game and really want to
Right.
have something else done.
How much money is in that parkland reserve fund anyway?
So with everything we have proposed for next year, and the revenue that we have proposed for next year, it'll be around 150,000.
Question here.
Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, when does the lease expire for the beer garden, the current tenant?
So I believe next year would be the last year of the contract.
Next year? Okay,
Right, so
December 31st, 2026. Okay, yeah. Is the plan just to renew that, or are we gonna put it out to bid again?
RFP.
Yep, all of the contracts are going out to RFP. Okay.
Questions, comments on this particular page 17 you're looking at? Lines of committee members.
that concludes my.
So that is the final page then for parks.
Motion to approve parks as presented.
Made by Belsky,
I'll second it.
second by Supervisor Franco. Further discussion? Seeing none, youth and governance?
Aye.
It's aye. Committee members, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Seeing none passes. Thank you so much. We're on to our next agenda item.
All right, so that brings us to golf. We are having another great year. But we do budget very conservatively as or last year, we're going to see a bit of increase, just the salaries based on the employee annual raises. We are adding a new line item of OT overtime. This is based on some changes last year from salary to hourly based on a potential change that was going through. So we had more hourly employees. We didn't have an overtime budget because they're hourly, they get overtime. It's an accounting, adding a new line to account for that. We'll see an increase in our temp salaries just based on department needs, and constant record year of golf requires more people to maintain and provide the level of service that we have. The interdepartmental charges will increase just like all the other divisions based on that GIF and the admin assistant reclass. We're increasing our data processing just based on historical costs. And supplies will increase as the course is being used more and more. Just need to maintain it. Sales tax also will increase because more revenue, more sales tax, so just kind of have to keep up with that. Revenues, we're budgeting conservatively. Right now, we're budgeting at 4.4 billion in revenue. We're forecasting this year to end at 5.3, so we budget very conservatively. The goal is to just build the reserves to keep funding the capital improvements for parks, or for golf rather. The last 3 years have all totaled over 5 million, so our 4.4 we feel is a good budgeting point. So that's kind of the high overview of operating. So their capital, which is again fully funded by their revenue. There are no changes from the CIP meeting in September. Do you have any questions?
Anything on CIP, fellow supervisors?
Are golf expenses normally paid for by carryover reserves, or is that you?
It's out of their reserves, so we're paying with their past revenues they've earned. We just kind of build up in their proprietary fund, and then it funds their.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not supposed to pay for rental levy.
Yep, nothing is, or nothing's bonded for golf. They're paying purely out of their
Their own
reserve
money
fund,
that they,
their
revenue that they've accumulated. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So I thought we had a building or two that was anticipated in golf for 2026. Didn't we have something out of Brightendale too? We're going to do expansion.
The storage building at Brightendale, we just awarded the bid for that. The building won't be complete until spring of 2026. They're gonna start construction this fall, do what they can over the winter. And then, the maintenance facility at Touchfinding Spring, what we're just now beginning the design process of, get that out to bid in early 2026 and begin construction on that in mid to late 2026.
So that's a bit in the future for us, right?
Correct. Next year.
Okay, most immediate one would be Brightendale.
Yes, that bid has been awarded, to brash contractors, and, they will be getting here next month or so.
So is that reflected in 2026 budget, or is that in 20?
No, that was in 2025, but that will carry over to 20.
Okay, very well. Sounds good. Anything else on the CIP for golf come to mind, fellow supervisors?
That would conclude golf.
So that's the end of golf. Motion to approve by Supervisor Meadows,
Second.
second by Supervisor Decker. Further discussion, seeing none, youth and governance.
Aye.
All those in favor of committee members signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, passes unanimously. Thank you. We're now on to highways.
All right, now we're on the last one of highways. We kind of went over all the personnel changes beginning, but I'll touch them again here. As you see the historical levy breakdown, we've kind of been on a decrease. We have a little increase this year, kind of harped on this every year, but that GTA, the general transportation aid, is going to drop.
Say that again.
The general transportation aid, which makes up about 50% of highway revenue, it's gonna start falling. That once Highway S falls off, they have safeguards where it can only drop 15% a year, but we're gonna be at or near that 28 budget.
So the revenue source for that is from where?
It is based on highway expenses and revenue and some of sheriff's expenses and revenue.
So is that from the state, in other words?
It is from the state, yes.
So we have to budget accordingly because that no longer be coming into the county, correct?
Correct. So personnel changes, we have reclassification of the highway director to the assistant director of DPW and still maintaining highway director. We have a reclassification of a mechanic to a fleet inventory specialist. It's so they have like a permanent person for the parts room, makes ordering parts, maintaining parts, just so much easier for mechanics. Right now, kind of have someone doing double duty, which this way it's just a dedicated position. And then we relocated or reallocated the administrative assistant from highways to finance, and then broke that up among the 4 divisions. Salaries increase is based on the annual raises. It outweighed the transfer out, so that's why we included it as increase. Decrease in salaries overtime just based on historical data. Retirement increase just on county allocations, and medical insurance change by individual choices in county allocations. And then the interdepartmental charges increase just like every other division for the same reasons that GIS and the administrative assistant. You'll see a bigger increase in the other professional services. So there's a few studies or a few inspections that are every 2 years. Next year is that year. One of them is a $65,000 bridge inspection. It's every 2 years. This year is that increase. And also through the resolution 89, that stormwater grant, it's 75,000 expenses, but it's offset by 37,000 in revenue. So that also helped me increase that. Miscellaneous contractual services, we saw a decrease based on department needs. And this division as well, we created that new accounting line of the personal protective equipment. We were putting in the other operating supplies just for junior accounting, going to have its own line. The other operating supplies was reduced because we broke out that personal protective, and we have the planned carryover. We're planning on about 25,000 carryover to help with the levy this year. That fuel decrease, we do a 5-year study internally, kind of track what our fuel costs are. So we felt comfortable decreasing that. And then our salt, we're also decreasing just because we're planning on $125,000 carryover in that department as well. Fixed cost increase just based on insurance, the county's allocation for insurance, but there was a large decrease in that liability insurance. Our revenues are slightly decreasing the municipality or sundry revenue just based on historical costs or historical data. State revenue is slightly increased based on the state funding increases from the budget they just had and that resolution 89 that had the slight revenue off. Sale of county property decreased. We were doing dealing with mining out at our pit. That is no longer taking place, so that line dropped. And then the general transportation aid just dropped based off the actual. You'll see a slight increase from 25 to 26, just state funding increases. They've had a 5% increase to the GTA and RMA funds. So we have a slight increase for that, but our numbers will be going down. That is kind of the high overview of highway operating. Have no questions, we can move on to the highway equipment. There were 2 changes from September. One being we had highway equipment 4, it was 280,000, which would be 2 tractors. We're splitting that up, so it'll be 140 for 2 years. It'll be 1 tractor each year. And then the other change was highway equipment 6. we showed 770,000 at CIP meeting. We are carrying, we're repurposing 30,000 or 300,000 from single axles. Moving that to tandem. We're trying to phase out single axles from our fleet. Tandems are just better. They have, you can do more with them. So we're kind of allocating the money for that. That is it for equipment. And if you kind of look at the next page, page 22, it gives you a breakdown of our current fleet. I mean, if we were to replace it according to the DOT's recommended replacement schedule. So right now, our is 1.2 million. If we were to replace everything to be on par with the DOT recommended, it'd be about 3.3 million a year. And on the second bottom half is kind of just a breakdown of what all the budget equipment, what we use it for, and what it does in each season, so during the summer and winter. So no questions on that. On to the highway projects. For two changes on this page from the CIP meeting. The first being highway projects 1, the transportation and construction improvements. We showed 4.2 million then. We have changed that to the 3.5 C. Just based off 11.5 miles and roughly 240,000 miles of paving, and then that includes culverts and other interdepartmental paving. And then the other change is to highway projects 20. We showed it at 6.1. We just split out $1 million just the way projects would fall. We wouldn't expend that full 6.1 in the first year. So we felt kind of breaking that up a little helps that.
So it's gonna be a big year for County Highway W.
Yes. And go to the next page. The only change from CIP meeting is highway project 24. We showed 1.3 million. We split that between 26 and 27. Again, just how the funds would be spent if needed. She felt comfortable splitting that up.
So phase 3 of county K reconstruction is gonna take place sometime after 2030 then, huh?
That's
Yeah,
plan.
that's the final phase. So phase 2 goes from 94th Court, 115th Avenue, which is right around the old dog park.
Right.
And then phase 3 is from the dog park, the old dog park to Deerland, under the interstate to 120th Avenue. And so there is an MOU with the city of Kenosha that says that that needs to be done by 2035.
Is that the ETA for the third phase?
Hoping 2033,
Okay.
but yes.
And we don't know if there's any changes yet before the Menominee Casino.
No, I have not seen any traffic impact analysis.
Trying to get my hands on it.
Okay. Yeah, I have not seen that.
Okay.
Yeah. I have an interest in that. It's in my district, so
As far as just when it's happening.
yeah, and how long's it gonna take.
Right. And I mean, going up, just, the city is planning on some expansion in that area too, of 128th Avenue
Right.
and 52nd Street. I don't know if that's part of your district or not, but just kind of, it's not part of our budget by any means. But, you know, the whole idea is that we'll expand Highway K or 60th Street to 128th Avenue. And then that'll all get jurisdictionally transferred to the city. While at the same time, the city is working on expanding 128th Avenue and extending 52nd Street. that kind of overall, just kind of what that corridor may look like in potentially the next 8 to 10 years.
So to follow up on that, for phase 2 and phase 3 of County K, does that include additional travel lanes to what we have there currently?
Yes, so it'll keep the same cross section that County K from basically Green Bay Road all the way to 94th Court is, which is the 2 lanes, 4 total lanes, 2 lanes in each direction, with left turn lanes at strategic areas as they come into certain neighborhoods or the 1 major roadway. So yes.
So that means that on the immediate east side of that roadway, the bridge by Ukes there, by the trailer park, would have to be expanded to be a wider.
Yes, so that's part of phase 3.
As part
So
of.
part of phase 3, that bridge will need to get expanded because it's just east of where we're ending with this phase. So obviously, we're continuing to research funding and grant options to hopefully get some grant funding to pay for these projects so that it's not all bonded for through the county. Phase 2 does have bonding, does have a grant to it. So we're now looking for grants for phase 3.
Questions from supervisors, comments from supervisors on this particular portion of the CIP?
And then next page is kind of our map of what is planned for next year. So the paving that the county does and then the major projects part of the CIP.
Supervisor Decker.
With Highway W, I know we were having issues with the tricolor back. Is that all cleared up or
Yes.
what?
So the biggest
That
issue.
was stuck for like a year or two, didn't it?
Yeah, so the biggest issue is when you can remove trees. There's a period in which you can only remove trees outside of their roosting period. So in fact, what happens is, so this project is, got DOT funding. So we also have a stake in that because we're paying for it, but the DOT handles all the bid letting and a lot of the construction administration. But because of that, and because of this northern long-eared bat, is that there will be a separate contract the state sends out only for tree clearing. So that will actually happen over the winter months. I should know this date off the top of my head. It's April 30th or May 30th, one of those 2 days that you can't cut a tree down after that date. So you have to have the trees cut by either April 30th or May 30th. You can leave the stumps, you can stump grind, you just can't cut the tree because that is the roosting time for those bats.
Okay. And it took 2 years to figure that out?
I just got here, okay? So can you say I've only been here for a year? I mean, being honest, there was also real estate issues. And so obviously most of 2025 has been spent acquiring real estate. And so, yes, I mean, I think that was one issue, but I also think there were some real estate issues that needed to be worked through that we have been working throughout this year.
Thank you.
Good question. Anything else from committee members about the highways? Just taking a look at page 99 for the FTEs and our budget book. Sign maker is listed here. Is that currently vacant? We're trying to fill that position.
So currently, page 99. We've always had 2. And so this fall, one of the sign makers decided he didn't want to be part of that role anymore. He wanted to transfer back to a highway patrol worker. I'll call more the crew. So yes, currently the sign maker is an open position only because we're going through a recruitment to find an internal recruitment to find a new sign maker. But there is no loss of sign maker, through this budget.
Just looking for someone to fill that position.
Correct,
It's an internal fill, is that correct?
correct. We are recruiting internally.
Very well. Questions or comments on highways, specific, general? Look for a motion to approve. Ray and Gama respectively. We're going to take a vote. Youth and governance.
Aye.
Committee members, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Passed unanimously. Thank you for your support.
So then it's just the last page, which again is that kind of other that we had on the first page. Smaller subdivision or project or sub-project subdivisions that fall under DPW as a whole. Only 2 of them are levy funded, one being the Board of Adjustments and the other being the 911. That one drops pretty significantly from last year. It's just an ongoing line replacement project. They only have a few lines left to replace, so that's why it dropped. That would conclude. Yeah.
So that's pretty much the end of the main part of our budget proceedings this evening. I would remind you that we do have the similar presentation to go through Finance Administration Committee next week. So for all committee members who are interested, please attend that. It's always a interesting and I think fulfilling experience. So please be advised of that. Also, we should take a look at our calendars and talk about the next meeting of our committee in regular fashion as we're approaching the month of November. And I don't think we have to make a decision this evening, but the 2 most likely dates in November would be 17 or 24. What does a holiday look like? 27th is Thanksgiving, is that Christmas? Is that correct? So we'll take that into consideration. I'm open to suggestions. So committee members, if you have a preference for the 17th, 24th, we're going to entertain either of those. Please correspond with me by email so we have a record of that. Carry forward. Before we close, Supervisor Pelkey has a statement she would like to read regarding budget. So Supervisor Pelkey, can proceed.
Thank you. The 8 years that I've been a county board supervisor and in reviewing the Public Works and Development Services budget, I felt the need to highlight, make some comments because I was very impressed. So as we reviewed this 2026 budget this evening, I want to start by saying it's a very thoughtful and well-balanced proposal that takes care of our county's core responsibilities, like maintaining safe roads, reliable facilities, well-kept parks, while keeping the tax levy essentially flat. Overall, the department's spending increases just about 1.5% from last year, mostly due to modest cost of living and materials adjustments. Revenues are slightly up as well, and the levy actually drops by a small margin. That's really impressive, given the inflation that we've been dealing with. So I commend you on that. Each division shows that same kind of discipline. The highway department will continue resurfacing about 11.5 miles of county roads next year, maintaining the same level of service we expect with only a small increase in levy support. Facilities is focused on essential maintenance, courthouse security improvements, and long-term reliability upgrades. In our Parks Division, we're seeing continued reinvestment in our most visible community spaces, from Petrifying Springs and Old Settlers Park to shoreline restoration work and planning for the Kemper Center campus. These are the kinds of projects that keep our public assets strong and our county attractive to both residents and visitors. Golf remains self-supporting, which is worth commending. Really great job. It continues to bring in solid revenue and will again contribute about $300,000 toward future capital needs without touching the levy. And I don't think a lot of our residents understand that. Planning and development is also managing workload increases smartly by using targeted contracted services rather than adding permanent staff. On the capital side, the department is proposing about $38 million in bonded projects for 2026, with nearly $10 million in grants and other funding. This investment keeps our roads, buildings, and park systems moving forward without putting unnecessary pressure on taxpayers and debt capacity. I think it's fair to say that this is not flashy budget, and that's a really good thing. It's steady, credible, and realistic. It balances prudence with progress. As we look ahead, I suggest that our oversight focus remain on execution, making sure staffing, contractor capacity, and materials are in place so the county can deliver these projects on schedule. Overall, the department deserves real credit for its fiscal restraint and clear priorities. They've managed to protect essential services, maintain infrastructure, and move the key projects forward while holding the line on costs, and that is commendable. That's the kind of leadership and planning we want to see from Public Works, and I think the residents of Kenosha will benefit in a very tangible way. So thank you very much for your hard work.
Well spoken. Thank you for those comments. Seeing no other business at hand, we could entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, we are adjourned.